Hello guys, welcome to Open Techno. Today we have on the channel one of those devices that cannot be missing in a technological backpack. And yes, I'm referring to a portable battery or a power bank. In this case, we have received the Cooktech 10 or Cooktech, however you prefer to say it, 10, which is a brand that is taking care of releasing all kinds of charging devices. Well, electronics like these power banks, they also release cables, and later they plan to even release power stations. Oh well, after all those battery devices or energy storage for our homes, as well as accessories for electric cars. But as I was saying, we are going to start with their simplest device, the Cooktech DS battery, which would be the 10,000 mAh capacity model. Then they also have other devices of 20,000 mAh, 25,000, 40,000 mAh, which will serve us to charge increasingly larger devices or have greater battery capacity. However, here we have a battery, well, that fits us, as you see, in the size of a hand practically. We have a battery that measures 14 centimeters long and then about 4 centimeters wide by 3 high, roughly. Well, approximately, its weight, well, the truth is that it is insignificant. It weighs very, very little for the batteries that I have come to see of this style. The truth is that I find it a very comfortable format as well as elongated, because then, well, there are others that take up much more lengthwise but are thinner. I find this format perfect and well balanced. Its construction is made purely of plastic. While it's true that they have incorporated a different, more rugged format and design on the back part. And you might ask, okay, but a battery? After all, they're all the same. We know they're used to charge devices. What's the difference? Well, of course, it has a distinguishing feature, which is the power. I currently have at home a battery that I used for the camera for certain devices, which also had 10 milliamp hours of capacity. But the difference was in the power it manages to output. The power that mine allowed, for example, was around 20 watts, but this battery is going to be able to output up to 150 watts of power. This doesn't mean we can charge a device at 150 watts, but this is going to depend on the device and the port that we use. Before talking about how much power each port outputs, I'm going to tell you that this battery has two ports, one USB-C and one USB-A. USB-C will allow us to output up to 120 watts, like on Xiaomi devices, which allow up to 100 watts, and on computers such as the MacBook Pro I have here. Or it's going to allow us like 20, 30, 40 watts, whatever other devices consume, well, autonomously, whatever the device needs to consume. And then with the USB-A, we are going to be able to have up to 33 watts if we are even consuming 120 on the USB-C port, which is standard for the USB-A. But, as I tell you, we are going to be able to put a lot of power into two devices at the same time. But many will wonder, okay, and how fast does this battery charge? Well, it charges very, very quickly. It's going to have a charge of 90 watts and approximately 50 in capacity. So in just under an hour, we can have it charged. It is true that to charge at 90 watts, I needed a special charger. I had a mobile phone here that we test for the channel, which had a 100-watt charger, and well, it charged at 90. You'll see it in some images. Otherwise, it would take around 2-3 hours to charge using an iPad charger. To achieve these high charging powers of 90, 100, 120 in the Xiaomi, we will need to use the cable that comes with the power bank itself. I have used a USB-C cable that we recently tested on the channel, which was intertwined and magnetized. But that cable only got me about 50 to 60 watts. So, to make use of all the power, you're going to need the cable that comes with the battery itself. Finally, let me tell you that we have a screen where we can give a pulse. We're going to see battery percentage, time left to charge at the rate we're doing it. How much bandwidth does each port consume? If we tap a bit more, we'll be able to see even the voltage and amperage at which each port is operating, which will be isolated independently at 5 volts, 8, 20. Well, you'll already be seeing this on the little screen, and if we press it one more time, we turn off the screen. However, all the important stuff has already been covered. Now let's move on to see its use. Of course, this battery will be able to charge all kinds of devices from Apple, Samsung, Xiaomi, as I mentioned, laptops, well, everything, absolutely the camera. And then we even have, with 2 taps on the button, a low power mode in case we want to charge some headphones. Well, we're going to be able to charge all kinds of devices with this Cooktech 10. Well guys, let's do the live charging test. We give a click to the battery, it's going to turn on, and we're going to see that we have 100% battery. And right now we don't have anything connected, neither to the USB-C port nor to the USB-A port. In this case, what we're going to do is first connect the computer. This is my MacBook Pro, and well, you're going to see that it starts to charge, it starts to consume. 55 watts, well, about 60, 70, the computer is turning on even okay, and you see that it stabilizes at about 70 watts, more or less of power. This tells us that if it continues this way, well, we had battery for 29 minutes. So, well, it's not going to be a super big battery to keep our computer running, but it's going to give us an extra at any time. However, for example, we can also use it to charge smaller devices like this iPad, for instance. If we start charging this iPad, you'll see that the iPad will consume, well, about 11 watts. I believe this is mainly limited by the connector we're using. The USB cable is usually of quite low power. In this short time that we've been here watching how the device is charged, well, it has already discharged 4%, but as you can see, the computer consumes quite a bit. However, if we leave it, for example, with only the iPad charging, then we're going to have power for about 3 hours. So, well, the iPad would be able to charge it, of course, completely and even a bit more. It's very important to keep in mind that when they tell us that a battery has 10,000 milliamp hours, it never means that you're going to be able to discharge the 10,000 milliamp hours to our devices, but that this is going to have an efficiency. In this case, the efficiency is approximately 76%. So this battery, even though it's 10,000 milliamp hours, we're going to be able to transfer to the devices approximately 7,500 in a useful way. If devices like computers start to heat up, that heat represents lost energy, resulting in reduced efficiency. These are things that when we charge our devices connected to the network, we don't realize it. As you can see, the battery has a rectangular shape on all its sides. The truth is that it's very simple. We can easily grab it with our hand. As you can see, on the top we have the two ports, both the USB-A port and the USB-C port, which also serves us for charging. A USB-C port that will allow us 120 watts in case of charging Xiaomi mobiles, 100 watts in the case of charging laptops and other devices, and a USB-A that will allow up to 33 watts. The screen is very simple. We give it a touch and we enter this functionality that you see here with the operating time and so on. I want to show you a curious detail. If we connect the iPad as we did before on this first screen, we'll see the watts it's consuming. About 11 watts, it's going to take about 3 hours for the battery to discharge, and the percentage we have. However, if we give it a little more tap, we can see some more curious data for those who prefer more detailed electricity data. See that we are charging at 5 volts at 2 with 1 ampere, and if we press the button again, we simply turn off the screen. As you can see, it is made of two plastics, two completely different materials, one rough, one a little smoother. The truth is that the battery is very simple, but I like it, I quite like it. Now, to comment on the batteries that we have here, we have several cells. CookTech promises us that we will have up to 70% capacity after up to 1,000 charge cycles. This is impressive, particularly considering the 90W fast charging capability. I, for example, being my battery, would take more care of it. I would try, if possible, to charge it overnight with a slightly slower charger, so as not to put all that strain on the cells that ultimately suffer when they heat up. And for my part, nothing more to say. A very simple battery, everyone knows how they work. I really like this CookTech brand. They have some very interesting designs. The build quality looks very good. The performance is very good. So totally recommendable if you are looking for a practical, beautiful battery, and above all, that also serves to give a spark to our laptop and not only have low power to charge a mobile device. Now price, how much is this CookTech 10? It starts from 50 euros on Amazon today, as I'm looking at it. However, you might click on the link we left below and you might find a cheaper price if we have found it that way. That's it. More information is in the video description below. If you want to talk more about the brand, about this device, about other higher capacity batteries that we hope to test in the future, all that's left is to say leave a like if you enjoyed this battery and see you in the next video.